Hey, Danny, good to see you.
Hi, good to see you, Ahmed.
Okay, great. So you're looking good. So you're really relaxed now after your long stint in the
Well,
Holy Land.
not relaxed yet, but
Really?
slowly coming, yeah.
Okay, great, great. I can also see here Efsane. Is that correct,
Yes.
Efsane?
Hello. Yes.
Hi,
Hello.
good to see you, Efsane. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for you too. I'm glad to see
Great.
all
Yes,
you, my
yes.
colleagues.
Yes, definitely. Let me just we still have, I think, about 5 minutes before we start, and let me just introduce Afsane to Danny or Daniela Dongus. Daniela is a very well-renowned human rights defender, Afsane, and she's I mean, she's been all around, and really she's one of the amazing speakers, and I'm a big fan of her work. She's been focused a lot on the Palestinian conflict, and she's
Okay, nice.
yeah, and I think she just returned from Israel and the Palestinian territories after I think what 2 years? Danny, was that 2 years?
Yeah, I've been there 2 years. And I just see a friend of mine, Ahmad, that I would like to introduce, Helga, who is establishing the connection.
Yes. I think I met her before.
No, you didn't. But she has been in Palestine with an observer program for 3 months.
Okay, great, excellent. Well, Helga, how are you? Good to see you.
Hi, I don't know if you can see you.
Yeah, great. So, Efsane, are you like a correspondent? Are you like a war correspondent or military correspondent?
I'm a reporter, and now I work in newspaper, in print media. I work, and also I'm active user on social media, especially in Twitter.
Great, excellent. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Now we're just waiting for the rest of the panelists to join, and I think we have a little, I think 2-3 minutes before our actual start time, and we already, Daniela, we already have 7 questions from viewers who would like to pose questions to the participants, but we'll keep that, until after everybody has spoken.
Okay, nice.
So yeah, I think I can also see Mr. Ali Arkadi. Yes, how are you? Good to see you, Ali. Good to see you, Ali.
Thank you very much.
Okay, that's wonderful. You look so different from your pictures.
Exactly, with the new beard.
Yeah, I know.
New style.
Well, that's really, yes, it is. It's suiting you. You're looking good. I mean, it suits you.
Thanks.
So that's great. That's great. So I'm sorry, Ali, where are you? I mean, which country are you?
I cannot say exactly where I am. Most of the people know, but I am in Europe. But I will not publish it with my saying.
I understand. I understand.
It's just for security reasons, but it's fine. Now everything's good. And I crossed that fear from 33 years almost until now. I am far off my country, which is good.
That's great. No, you've done a great job. You've done a heroic job, and we're looking forward to listening to your take, and I look forward to that. And let me just say this. It's okay if you want to speak in English, and if you want to say something in Arabic, I can translate. So we can, yes, we can do both ways, whatever suits you. So feel free.
Good. For me, it's I will be more comfortable with Arabic. I can use a lot of details, but also I can speak English. Maybe I can sometime if I couldn't explain something very well with the English, I try to do it in Arabic. I think it's good, but I don't know, maybe you can ask me if I'm not very clear with something
But Ali, your English is perfect. I mean, you're speaking so well. I think you should continue speaking in English because that'll be easier for everybody. And if you get stuck anywhere, I can jump in and help you with that.
Great.
But you're perfect. You're speaking perfectly well. I think that's great.
That's good. Thanks.
Okay, great. So, and as soon as we begin, I'm going to introduce obviously all of the participants, and we have now our guest from Azerbaijan. We have our guest from Iraq. We have our guest from, I don't know exactly, France, Germany, Switzerland, all of it combined, Daniela. And we're just waiting for our participant from Islamabad, and also our participant speaker from Kuwait. And I think they should be with us shortly. So if you just give me exactly 60 seconds, let me just check the status of our other speakers so that we begin, because we're supposed to begin now any second. Okay, I think Shahed Al-Matrouk has joined us from Kuwait, and I think she's here. Shahed, can you speak? Can you hear? Can you hear us? Can you say something? Okay, Daniela, can you hear us clearly?
Yes.
Perfect. And also Afsaneh and also Ali. And Shahed is here, but I think Shahed has a problem. She's unable to speak. I think she needs to unmute. Shahed, if you can hear me, you need to unmute. There's an option. There's a button here to unmute, and you can do. Also, the administrator can also unmute if it's possible. Yeah, see, Ali just did it now. He muted and unmuted. Shahed, can you do it? Can you mute and unmute?
Hello, everyone. Can you see me?
Yes. Who's this?
Okay. Yes.
This is Shahed?
Yes, this is Shahed.
Great, great. Finally, congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think we should, everybody's here almost, and we have actually a couple of journalists, young ladies from Kashmir, and I think they will join us in due time. We also have a journalist from Islamabad, Ms. Sumaira Khan, and she will also be joining us shortly. So I think we should begin. Okay, so we have Sumaira here. Well, Shahed, good to see you.
Okay. So good to see you too. Hello, everyone. I'm Shahed from Kuwait, and I'm a reporter in Al Arabiya news channel.
Perfect. And we have, thank you very much, Shahed. And we also have Sumaira Khan, and she's from, she's a correspondent in Islamabad for the Indus. Everybody will get a chance to introduce themselves. I think we should begin. We have two young journalists and females from Kashmir, and because of the lockdown, they do not have access to fast, high-speed internet, because that's part of the lockdown in that region, and they may have difficulty joining us, but if they do, we'll introduce them. Sumaira, can you hear us? We're just about to start. I just would like to just check with you before I begin. Sumaira, can you hear me? Okay, I think Sumaira is with us, but I think she's getting ready actually. I hope she's not making her hair live because there's so many are watching here. Okay, anyway, let's begin. Thank you very much, everyone. And we have much more people have joined us in our live stream on our Facebook page. Hello, Sumaira. I don't know if you can hear me. If you can hear me, please wave your hand.
Hi, Emmett.
Yes, great. Very well. I'm going to introduce. Okay, no, you're looking. It's fine.
It's a hell of a fight to get in an adjustment with your device.
Yes, it's perfect. It's perfect. So let's begin. Thank you very much, everyone. And frankly, we do not want to take a lot of time. We would like to thank everyone who has joined us on Zoom app, and we'd like to also thank everyone, much more actually, have joined us on our live stream on Facebook. And thank you. And I'm so glad to see there are questions for our speakers even before we started. So we have lots of people who have joined us and they would like to pose questions. So I'm not going to take much time. I'm going to be a very mild, moderator. What I'm going to do is here basically go straight to my first speaker. But before I do that, let me just say this. The purpose of this webinar is that with the live stream and of course with the videos that will be shared afterwards, we'd like to bring two things forward. One is that journalists worldwide are struggling. I think this is one of the toughest times. Usually us journalists are used to working under crises and we work in different circumstances, but this is a tough situation. And frankly, it impacts the dissemination of information. It has an impact on lots of things. What I would like to do here is listen to each one of you personally, giving your personal experience of how you found the practice of journalism under lockdown and what kind of changes you're seeing in this profession over the next weeks and months, obviously, because the world is not going to return to what it was before COVID-19. So, and we're going to be quick. We have 60 minutes. We have questions from people. One of our speakers has to really go and join her TV broadcast. So what we want to do is, I would be very grateful if you can give your experience and your projection and your prediction as to where the media and the practice and profession of journalism is going in 8 minutes, in roughly 8 minutes. And hopefully we will have some time toward the end to take some of the questions. I see now we have about 10 questions right now. We have 10 questions from people who are following us right now. So hopefully we'll be able to take all of them. I'll go straight to my first speaker. And please, each speaker, please quickly introduce your work because we want to know your opinions and your experiences. We really want to feel who you are, your experience, where you're working, the circumstances, the organization, and how you found work under lockdown, and how do you see the future of journalism. My first speaker is Daniela Dungus. Daniela is a former country coordinator for the German Civil Peace Service, and she was based in Israel and in the Palestinian territories. And I think she's been there for a couple of years. She will tell us more about it. I'm a big fan of hers. She's been working a lot on the Palestinian occupied territories, and she's a frequent speaker at the Human Rights Council every year, where we sometimes and often actually get a chance to meet. Daniela, the floor is yours, and we have about eight minutes.
Thank you, Ahmed. I will try to stick to the time. So first of all, thank you for the invitation. It's an honor for me to participate in this panel. Yes, a number of the participants are already familiar from the work of the UN, others not. So let me shortly introduce myself. So I am Daniela Dungus. I've been working as a program or country coordinator in the framework of the German Civil Peace Service. I've been based in Bethlehem in the Palestinian territories for 2 years. and our work has mainly been with grassroots initiatives, human rights defenders. So it was a lot of touch with people on the ground. I am most likely the only person who is not a pure journalist in this round, but at the same time, I've done a lot of reporting when it came to the Human Rights Council and the UN. And a number of my friends are also working as journalists or human rights defenders. So there are a lot of similarities. And as we've also seen at the UN, we have a lot of similarities in the different conflicts and the different situations of occupation. And we found that a lot, especially with regards to Kashmir and Palestine. So let me jump to what happened. So basically, I've been working in Palestine for 2 years, and at the end of my work, I was supposed to go back to Geneva to attend the Human Rights Council session, which was in March. And in Bethlehem, we had the first cases of COVID-19 on the 5th of March. So basically immediately after, everything was closed down, and I had to cancel my flight. And within short time, there were no flights anymore at all. So basically I was stuck on the ground for about 3 months and only managed to get out shortly ahead of the second wave, which began in July. So I came back beginning of July. In the situation in the occupied Palestinian territories is difficult per definition. People are living under prolonged occupation since over more than 50 years. So basically it's already difficult. With the COVID-19 crisis, this of course increased. The Palestinian Authority was very much aware at that time that the health system under occupation is not able to cope with a huge outbreak. So they really imposed severe restrictions, which means that in the area where I was living, actually, I could move maybe around 1 kilometer around. Otherwise, everything was closed. Police was stationed at the exits of Bejala, which was my area. Side roads were blocked with huge stones. You couldn't cross in Bethlehem from one side to the other anymore. Then there was a curfew. At some point, you weren't even allowed to walk in the streets anymore. So people were really, really staying at home. People were extremely afraid. At the same time, I also have to say that I admire the Palestinian resilience, because after so many years of occupation and suffering, they have developed a way of dealing with such a crisis that was better than in Europe, for example. So they took it with humor and just said, well, it's not the second intifada, at least there is no shooting, we know lockdown and curfews. But with the time, you could feel that people became more and more affected. People, when it came to the COVID-19 crisis itself, people, of course, weren't really informed about what it is, and there was panic. And the panic was also especially towards internationals like me, because for them, internationals like me were seen as COVID-19 incarnate. So which meant that in the streets, kids would be yelling after me, ladies would run away, escape. One time I was yelled at, I should disappear. I know other people who were spitted. So it was, at the beginning, it was tough. Then after some time, the Palestinian Authority and also the mayor of my area published statements and it became better. So at the end of the day, we were in the same boat. We were lucky, at least in the shops, we still had everything. Other areas, however, very small villages like Al-Walaja, where our office is located, that that have restrictions from the Israeli side and the Palestinian side were really struggling to get vegetables. And so they developed a strong sense of solidarity, which was amazing. And neighbors really help each other. And that's the case until today. So When it comes to politics, everybody knows about this, or most people are familiar with the situation, the ongoing occupation. But usually in Palestine, there are many international observers, just like my friend also who just joined here, this panel. But the lack of international presence means also less transparency about what's happening on the ground. And that was especially concerning when it came to the annexation plans that were announced by the Israeli government. And personally, me still being blocked on the ground, I could see that Israel was pushing forward the annexation, and this at high speed, even though until now it's not been formally declared. But that was very obvious that they were using the coverage of the COVID-19 crisis also to pursue its plans. And the closures and the lockdown of the Palestinian people were really contributing also to the acceleration of this annexation. And this is ongoing until today. The people now, I'm still in touch with the people on the ground, they are really suffering. Now they are full in the second wave. There has been a second lockdown. I managed to get out just before the second lockdown. The people have no salaries anymore. The Palestinian Authority hasn't paid any salaries since about 2 months. Now they promised to pay half. No tourists anymore. The checkpoints were closed, so even those working inside Israel couldn't work anymore. So their people literally don't have anything in the fridge anymore. And this is not only one case, that's really general. On the markets, you can still see the markets, but nobody is buying anything anymore. This has led to to many tensions, which means that family disputes at the moment are occurring every day, also armed family disputes. There is a loss of trust in the authorities, and it's a very delicate situation. The occupation on one side, the corona crisis on the other, the loss of faith in the local authorities, in my opinion, this could escalate any moment soon if nothing happens. Now I just like.
How about the media, Daniela? Can you also shed light? Can the media work and cover all of this? Because I'm not listening or hearing a lot of what you're saying in the international media. I mean, I think there's a gap. Why is it? Is it because of the lockdown?
It is because I think all the countries are busy with themselves. I spoke with a journalist from the German TV in Tel Aviv. You know, he said at the moment in Germany, they are so busy with themselves and the crisis. He would reach out to them, but most likely there wouldn't be any interest in information from Bethlehem at the moment. However, I've been in touch with Palestinian journalists, and what was interesting was the way they were trying to approach the situation. I helped a Palestinian friend to translate a manual for Palestinian journalists, to translate it from Arabic to English. And there were some things that really stick to my mind. And for example, what he said, the people were badly informed or they were extremely panicked. So in this manual, he especially underlined that as journalists now, not to make the situation worse, not to make it worse, so to avoid sensational headlines, then really if frame articles in a way that shouldn't increase the panic and protect the privacy of infected people, because people were really labeled. I mean, I was labeled as a foreigner on the ground, but also those families who had a case, they were really they were outcasts in their own society. So that led to big tensions. So my journalist friends really paid a lot of attention not to make this situation worse or give the impression that certain areas or social groups are the source of the pandemic, and also advised not to take selfies in the field because this may encourage people to break the lockdown and go out. So there was a lot of work done to do this and to deal with the situation. But when it comes to international media, which was your question, especially with regards to the annexation, Israel is pushing for it, and it's still pushing for it. I'm still following also the security updates. The list is getting longer every day. We have demolition increased 250% in June alone. We have arrest campaigns all over the West Bank, silencing of critical voices, end of security cooperation, which leaves people in Area C especially alone. So at the moment, the situation is on the brink of escalation and nobody is really talking about it.
Thank you very much, Daniela. This is so fascinating. I mean, really, you put us right on the ground. I could imagine myself really, and I recall I had some conversations with you on WhatsApp before when you were in Bethlehem, and you always painted this picture, where a very vivid one, where you make your listener feel that they're on the ground. So, and I have let me just tell you that I have about 20 questions right now accumulated from people who are right now have joined us. So I look forward to putting forward. I think a few of them are directed at you, and I'm all of you. Frankly, I'm really very glad and very honored. All of the journalists who have joined us right now in this webinar have fascinating stories. We have Mr. Ali Arkadi, who is the Iraqi journalist who risked his life to expose war crimes of the security forces in Iraq. And he took a huge risk. Even now, he probably cannot disclose where he is, his exact location, because he needs to take security precautions. We'd like to hear from him. Also, we have Efsaneh from Azerbaijan, and that's a region where recently we've had clashes between Azerbaijan and Armenia, and it's a very tense situation. For the first time in many, many years, we see in that region the situation moving towards instability. So, Efsaneh, we're looking forward to hearing from you. And we also have Shahad al-Matrouk from Kuwait, and we also have a couple of young journalists from Kashmir, which is where I'm sitting right now. I'm in Islamabad, and I'm very close to the start of the Himalayan mountains. And Daniela, you've been here, so you know what I'm talking about. So the Himalayas are right behind us, and that's where, if you go up toward the mountains, that's where Kashmir starts, and that's where you have the highest battlefields in the world between 3 nuclear armed countries: China, Pakistan, and India. And so we have these 2 young journalists who are supposed to join us from Srinagar, which is in Indian-occupied Kashmir, and and I think they have issues with the internet. Hopefully, they'll join us. I'd like to move right now. Shahad from Kuwait, she's supposed to actually leave us a little early. So, Shahad, how about if I give you the chance and let's hear it from you, because you live in a country. It's a small country, but at the same time, it's a country that has about over 120 nationalities from all over the world living in that country. And you're also right next to Iraq, and you're also right next to Iran, and you're right next to, obviously, Saudi Arabia and the rest of the Gulf states. So and it's one of the richest countries in the world. I mean, so how was your experience really working and doing your work as a journalist? And at the same time, how do you see things changing for this profession? Shahad, can you hear me?
Okay. Hello, everyone. I had to unmute it. I am Shahad al-Matrouk, and I am from Kuwait, and I work as a reporter in Al Arabiya News channel. Well, working in Kuwait and being surrounded by all these, I would say, powerful countries is not really difficult unless they have to interfere, maybe, or have an issue with us. So working in Kuwait is okay, it's very fine. Kuwait is very peaceful. We're very diplomatic. We try to solve issues rather than make problems and issues with other countries. Of course, working during COVID-19 wasn't as difficult as the reporters who had to work in, you know, regions that already have problems, maybe political problems, like Palestine, Israel. I can't even compare working as a reporter in Kuwait to working in Israel or Palestine. It's very peaceful. I mean, although we had to take a lot of precautions here, make a lot of quick decisions, the government here had to make a lot of quick decisions. We did not have really political problems during this time, but when there is a problem, it's definitely from outside, not from Kuwait. So we have to, you know, we have to be updated to these problems. We have to know what's going on, why they started this problem, what do they want. We have to, you know, hunt the truth. We have to run after details. So because we have to be ready all the time. So basically, it wasn't a challenge. Working here is not a challenge. Is not challenging. It's honestly easier than working in other countries, I would say. So working in Kuwait, being surrounded by all these countries, is honestly not a challenge unless there is a problem.
Great, and I would like to hear from you also, Shahed, if you can explain. Was there not at all a challenge for journalists to work under these repeated lockdowns that we've seen, and also the sort of media coverage? Because I heard there were lots of frictions because of the lockdowns, because of the media coverage between all these different ethnicities and peoples from different countries living in a country like Kuwait. And recently, I think there was a lot of tension between the media in Kuwait, and some of the countries like Egypt, for example. I was just quickly reading, not that I want you to explain really what happened, but just generally, I mean, wasn't this a tension, a political tension between countries resulting from the lockdowns and also the media coverage? The role of the media in intensifying and increasing this tension. Can you talk about that?
You see, every media outlet has an agenda, and wherever we work, we follow these agendas. So if we are against any nationality, we would definitely show all the bad side of that nationality. We in Kuwait do not have a problem with Egypt at all. And this is what the Minister of Foreign Affairs declared earlier during the crisis of COVID-19. We do not have a problem with Egypt. But as I said, if we want to focus on their problems, they are causing a problem to Kuwait, then we can definitely show that side of them. But as a problem, we do not have a problem. But of course, you know, Corona crisis did show us a lot of problems. We have a lot of problems here in Kuwait regarding the different nationalities, because, you know, we had to let them out. We had to let them go back to their countries. And this caused an economical problem to Kuwait. We had to pay a lot of money for them to leave the country. We also had to pay a lot of money to treat them. We gave the treatment for free. Now it is not for free because we are gradually going back to normal life. But during that crisis from March, actually from February until June, we had to pay all the expenses for those different nationalities. Other than that, we do not have a problem between Kuwait and other countries. There is no problem at all.
Great. And my last question, very quickly, Shahed, would be the future. I mean, do you see any impact on the work? There's such a lively media scene in the Gulf right now. You have in Kuwait, in Dubai, you have the Dubai Media City. You have so many TV channels coming up, and various languages. I mean, you have now in the Gulf, obviously you have the Arabic language media, but you also now have Persian language media. You have channels coming up, you know, with different, going in different directions. So do you see any change post-COVID-19, post-coronavirus? Do you see the media scene changing in the Gulf?
The media to change in Kuwait, not dramatically, not to have a channel that speaks a different language other than Arabic or English. I mean, not in the near future, not yet, but we definitely have more channels that appeared during that crisis. We have so many channels, channels that appeared in the social media. I mean, we also are starting to use the technology a lot. Kuwait has never been this tech savvy before. Now we're using a lot of technology, online services are offered to everyone. So, but the media to be in different languages, to have a major or big media outlet, not in the near future.
Great, thank you very much, Shahed. That's such a great insight. And I don't know if I don't think we'll be able to get to the questions before you leave. So I think we'll come to the questions after you've gone. So thank you very much, Shahed, and we look forward to probably have another sitting with you in the future. And that was Shahed Al-Matrouk, Al Arabiya correspondent in Kuwait City. And I will move now from Kuwait. Actually, I'm very tempted to move from Kuwait, and I can see here one of our colleagues actually from Kashmir. I think this is this would be if I have the correct name here. I actually have so many names here. Is this Manpreet Kaur from Kashmir? No. Yes, is this Miss Nilofer? Miss Nilofer. Yes, great. Thank you very much. Miss Nilofer, are you joining us from Srinagar?
Yes, I'm from Srinagar this time.
Well, yes, and I can see the video is very clear. I thought you know, the quality of the video would be lower than this because of, you know, obviously you are not allowed to use high-speed internet. I think you only have 2G internet in Kashmir right now. But thank you very much for taking the time, and I'll come to you. But before that, I'd like to go to Sumera. If Sumera Khan, are you with us from Islamabad?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, great. Sumera, very quickly, I will give the floor to you now, and then from you, we will move to Azerbaijan and then to Iraq, and then we will come back to Kashmir, and then we'll take some questions. So Sumera, basically you can introduce yourself and then explain a little about your experience working under lockdown and taking all the precautions. What kind of impact was that on you, your personal experience, how you saw it, and how you see the media changing as a result?
I think, Ahmed, first of all, I would like to introduce myself to all the listeners who are present here in the on this prestigious forum as well. This is Sumera, and I'm an Islamabad-based journalist. I've been journalist for the last 16 years, and I started my career with a regional TV channel that was Khyber Television, back in which used to broadcast in Pashto language. And after that, it was a long journey. I became your colleague in state media, Pakistan Television, in 2007 when we started covering so many sensational news happenings in Pakistan, beginning with the assassination of Mohtarma Benazir Bhutto then, and Lal Masjid operation, which is known to all. So that was my journey. I started with Pakistan Television. And after that, my many milestones, I think Express News, Express Tribune, and CNBC Pakistan. So the journey goes on after that. So now I'm associated with Indus News World, which is the only English news channel in Pakistan in the private sector. And I'm associated with the news channel as in the capacity of senior correspondent and as an analyst on defense and foreign affairs matters. So this goes with Al Jazeera Arab and BBC Arab as well. I appear on those channels as well as in the capacity of panelist. So main expertise, I wouldn't say, I think the expertise would for a journalist, never expert in any field, and we keep on learning things. On daily basis, I think it's an emerging field, if I say it correctly, and if I'm able to make you understand. So in my field, what's my focused area is humanitarian issues, first of all. And I love to cover humanitarian issues specifically related to education, gender imbalances, health, and the most vulnerable sector, say, violence women. That is always when it comes to mainstream issues, I cover foreign affairs, defense matters, parliamentary, political affairs, and most organization CGS in Pakistan for 16 years. So, this is the expert area that I can say that I can comment on. But latest, I think it's the pandemic, it's the COVID-19, and COVID-19, I think.
Okay, I think we have a problem with the internet connection here with Samira. We might get to her later on. So Samira, I think we need to, we'll stop here. We'll give you some chance, I don't know, to, yeah, because can you continue if your internet signal is okay?
Okay,
because,
if it's okay with you, I'm done.
Yes, it's working. It's working. Yes, please continue. Now, can you move to your experience as a journalist under lockdown? How was it like? Can you just give us some idea?
I would love to comment on that. I would love to comment on that because in my 16 years of experience, for the first time, I came across a situation where I was not able to do anything if I'm not at hand with my laptop and my mobile device and my internet device. I was not a journalist for even a moment if I don't have these gadgets. Because during the lockdown, during the pandemic, when the first 26th of February in Pakistan, it was a kind of curfew. And Minister of Pakistan, he announced a situation that is emerging towards, that is developing a curfew-like situation, and he was announcing a curfew for obviously the entire country, and that was the point when the entire country was they were truly panicked that what is going to be next. Are we going to see deaths like we saw in Italy, we saw in Spain, we saw in France, and we saw in US, obviously, and UK. So there was a panicking situation, and credit goes to those data compilations as well, Ahmed. I must say that the pandemic revealed an entirely devastating situation for a journalist. When I saw our screens flooded with fake news, our social media flooded with fake news, that was the main challenge for me because whenever I had to use my internet for research what is going on outside, because I was given a work from home like situation from my office, and obviously this caused me with a lot of trouble to get in touch with real and genuine data. So data gathering was a worst nightmare for me, because I had to call all the officials in the health ministry and NDMA and other relevant concerned officials who were not available, let me tell you, most of the times. So we were quite vulnerable in those times. And the other situation was extremely alarming when we started hearing about domestic violence against women. And that was the point when I started learning about that. Yes, I'm getting into a situation where I'm totally I'm in search of research in terms of. Can you hear me? I can hear multiple voices right now.
Yes, I can hear you too. I don't know what happened. I hope the administrator is watching all of this. Please conclude your your remarks.
So when it came to horrible numbers of complaints at police stations regarding domestic violence, leaving alone Karachi, just in our it's a huge city, and I heard that in hundreds of cases regarding domestic violence and home abuses they have rose to a very alarming number when I contacted the police and police station. So that was the point when we were being contacted for these to get these complaints and get the data and screens. So that I wanted to cover, but obviously I could not visit the families. I used to call them virtually. I used to collect their data. I used to get their statements on record. So I think there were numerous challenges, but the challenges we started learning with this new normal, and the new normal was indeed a horrible dream for a journalist because we couldn't move. We have to sit in front of our laptop and play mobile. So I think in terms of data collection and in terms of moving out, roaming around and meeting people for authentic news gathering, that was the main challenge for me. And I would rate a poor response from the officials initially in the month of February and March, where we were totally Pakistan was in the most vulnerable situation because the drug mafias and other mafias in health sector, they started hoarding the life-saving drugs, masks and hand sanitizers.
Right.
Again,
thank you very. Yes, thank you, Sumaira. We have some questions, but let's keep that until after the other participants have spoken. That this was Sumaira Khan, and there's so much actually that we can discuss also about where you're seeing in such a big country like Pakistan where you're seeing this profession going. So I would like to move now on to Afsaneh. Can you hear me, Afsaneh? Ali,
yes, I hear you.
Perfect. Ali, I'm coming to you after Afsaneh. So Afsaneh, please introduce yourself very quickly, and then please move on to your work as a journalist in Azerbaijan. And maybe if I understand that you're working for Voice of Karabakh, and that's the region which has seen clashes with Armenia recently. So as a journalist, how have you managed to work both in covering those clashes and working under the health emergency that we have with the lockdowns?
Okay, my name is Afsaneh. I work in Azerbaijan print media, Halk newspaper. Till July 13, I can say that the main topic of Azerbaijan media as usual in another countries were the main topic is struggle against COVID-19. But after the beginning of this clash in Azerbaijan-Armenian border, the main topic changed in Azerbaijan. All journalists, all news agencies, TVs and radio stations began to cover these clashes, and a lot of journalists began to visit, to send their reporters to this region. You know that the conflict between Azerbaijan and Armenia continues more than 30 years. After collapsing USSR, Azerbaijan and Armenia gained its independence, and after that, as a new independent country, we witnessed attacked by Armenian. And as a result of these territorial claims of Armenia to Azerbaijan, as a result of these claims began the war. And as a result of this war, in 1990 and in 1994, 4 years, Azerbaijan lost 20% of its territory. And as a result of this war, as a Soviet side, million Azerbaijani civilians became IDPs, and their rights are still violated by Armenia as they lost their all properties, native territories, and their relatives. But I would like to pay your attention recent events because we know that every day, I can say that every day, Azerbaijan witness ceasefire violations in the front line and also in the border Armenia and Azerbaijan. But towards the region where the clash began, I would like to give information about this district because Tovuz district is not situated in Nagorno-Karabakh. It's situated in border Armenia and Azerbaijan. It's one of the strategic streets of Azerbaijan. When the clash began July 13, of course, a lot of journalists tried to cover what happens in the streets. And as a result of heavy artillery attacks, another side targeted civilian infrastructures, civilians' homes and houses. A lot of journalists and also I visited this region, and we were in border village of Tovuz region, which suffered from these heavy artillery attacks. I would like to say that my relatives are also from this region, and my relatives also live in Tovuz region. When the clash began, first day at night, I contacted with them by phone, and I could see all the artillery sounds. Of course, they said that we are not afraid, everything will be okay, but I felt that it's not ordinary day. It differs from ordinary attacks, from ordinary ceasefire violations. And then the next day we went to region, talked to people. Our colleagues, photographers were also there, and they could make videos, photographs who were suffered from these artillery attacks. Why Armenia
if I can interrupt here, I just received a few questions also about this conflict, so I'm gonna come back to you again. I would like to move very quickly to Ali Irkadi, who's a very well-known journalist, a photojournalist from Iraq. His story was covered in the international media. He took huge risks. He accompanied the Iraqi security forces during multiple operations, and he uncovered some really very disturbing and serious human rights violations. Ali, would like to hear your take right now, because frankly, I can't ask you about the lockdown because your situation is really, seriously very disturbing and way beyond a discussion on lockdown because of COVID-19 and so forth. And reading about your work made me think about the kind of things that Daniela was talking about, the kind of things that Efsaneh was talking about, but also the kind of things that I read happening in Kashmir, which I look forward to listening to Ms. Nilofer after you explain them. But Ali, the floor is yours. Please tell us about your story very quickly, and where does it stand, and can you go back to Iraq? What's going to happen, and what was the impact of your stories on forcing the Iraqi security forces to reform themselves?
Thank you very much for this opportunity to talk. The story is quite complicated. I don't know how I can explain from these small times, but I think we can start from the story directly. It's I start to do one positive stories about two soldiers when the operation in Fallujah is beginning, because I decide now to stay there from a month, not come back to home to see what's happening there. Most of the time I doing long-term project and deep project and go through stories. But in that time I feel I'd love to start to cover this war in a different way and doing like documentary and photo stories, long-term project through my agency, 7 Photos. And that time I discovered these people and I followed them obviously 9 months from Fallujah until another operation in Mosul. During that times, I covered them, I published some pictures about them, I get invitation from TEDx talk stage in Baghdad because I did like small Happy Baghdad projects and I showed them as a heroes. This is first beginning I see them. It was the forces, the special forces from ERD was between, from intelligent branch. It was 2 guys, one of them Sunni and Shia. And I want to explain how they fighting ISIS, how they try to liberate these countries or these towns.
Ali, before you do that, let me ask you a question. Were you embedded with the Iraqi security forces? Like, were you accompanying them in their military operations?
I was the journalist. I was following my project and I get permission for the leader to do a film documentary about them. And, hello, you can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Please continue.
Yeah, and that time it was getting permission to follow these forces because I love the stories. And that time I contact my agency and they give me also permission to do the positive project about Iraq. But after, we can say the last month of the 9 months following, these stories between videos and high quality videos with the high quality photo, not just with the technically, it's just with the concept, with the following, every day following them. And I get stressed more and in the end, we stopped in the Mosul from 1 month because the operation is stopped. We didn't go forward to take back some village. And that time it starts what's happening there. And I see who is really the soldiers and what they did in the front line. And first time they don't let me to record or to shoot pictures or video. But after that, I get permission to do that. And they told me you can cut everything. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Please continue.
Yeah. And in that time, I discover another side, another face of these soldiers. And the problem wasn't just with these special forces. It was most of the forces in Iraq. They do same. And this is what I hear. But when I speak about, this is what I record. Most of the time I speak about what I record during this project. It's really complicated to explain very well, but anyone they like, they can go back to the
yes. Let me tell the people who are listening to you that if they go to Google and they put your name, Ali Arkady, Arkady, they will find pictures, very disturbing pictures of men who are in jails, in dungeons, hung from the roof and from the walls. The kind of photos that we've seen coming out of Iraq. My question to you is, what is your status right now? I mean, can you go back to Iraq, for example, and how were you allowed by the Iraqi security forces to take those pictures? Because you did not take those pictures secretly. You took them because they're really amazing pictures. They're very clear. It's not like you're hiding and you're taking a picture from a corner. You took pictures in the full room with everybody in there. How they allowed you to take pictures, and what's your status right now? Can you go back to Iraq?
No, obviously I couldn't go back to Iraq no more. That is the thing. Even the Iraqi, the minister of Iraq and Obadi in that time, they had a statement. They published a statement about my work. They said, our soldiers, they did crime. Ali, he is right, what he does, especially in that time, what is published with Der Spiegel. And what is this good? But obviously, it's really dangerous. I couldn't go back home. But if you know, I am artist. I am my background. I am artist and I'm painter, drawing, and I have this good eyes to capture his work. And also, I am doing like I'm doing video, photography, like long-term project, like photo story. I know how I work with that, and I know how I can go very deeply. But with this, I get permission to follow them. And the first time when they show me and they bring, I didn't ask about anything because we stuck 1 month in one village. And I was in the home, I following them, and every day they bring some people, they torch him, and the first time they didn't allow it, and after that, I just took my cameras, and I say maybe they told me no or yes. Sometimes they say yes, sometimes no. It depends with the officer there, because I following one forces at that time, and after that 3. And obviously also they ask me what we need to do again and again and again and again with this footage. And I said, this is for the documentary. And they make sure, they told me every time, they are ISIS. They are ISIS. They show them as ISIS, you know? I said, I don't know, but with the investigation, because I was also in the intelligence office sometime, some of them, they come in this house, they had investigate these people, the civilian. And through that, when I come back to the videos, when I see they are really innocent and they are just normal people, maybe the relative, maybe his brother, maybe, you know, they are part of the ISIS in that time, or Daesh. But these people, when I record, they catch them just for took information. And that time they do these horrible things to them to have more information about their brother, the families, and this kind of investigation. And that time I was recording, but I didn't ask anything. And sometimes I had like big heart. Sometimes they shoot a gun through my head in the night because they don't know me, because I was just on the forces and I had that permission to following these forces, not more. And I had very horrible and risky moment during that time. And not just I got the pictures like that, but also they think what I document is just the same local TV, what they did every day. This is the idea of them, but they know I'm good journalist, but they didn't know I will show this in the reality, in the what's
they
happening.
Didn't know. Yeah, Ali, they didn't know that you will become a whistleblower. They didn't know that you will become a whistleblower. Okay, there are many questions also, Ali, here, and I have some questions for Efsaneh. I have questions for Daniela. So I'm coming to that. So Efsaneh and Daniela, please stay with us a little bit more. I'm going to conclude, and of course we have some more for Ali, and I'm going to conclude with with Nilofer, the journalist from Kashmir. But before that, Ali, very quickly, if you can give me a brief answer, what was the impact of the pictures that you published in the international media showing Iraqi security forces committing human rights crimes? I saw some of those pictures. They're very disturbing. What was the impact? You gave one example, the former Prime Minister, Haider Abadi, he agreed and accepted that there are human rights violations committed by the security forces. So that's one good result of your work. Has there been any change on the ground? I know you're not there, but I'm sure you have friends and people and sources who are telling you. Has there been any change because of your work on the ground?
Obviously in Iraq and some, even it was the first time of the Iraqi military during 100 years to have this kind of statement, this is very big achievement. It was just as a writing, and these criminal, they still alive, and they have a more, they are in a very high positions, and I see them, and this is in Geneva what I show, and I show also the new pictures, videos of them. But obviously, and to be honest, it will be these photos and this video, if I publish it, if I work in this, any journalist like 20 years ago or 30 years ago, the impact will be different. But now with the social media, with the Instagram, with the Facebook, if someone, they just, with the finger, they go see one of my pictures, they read, maybe they have big effect, but a few seconds, just he cross for another pictures. You know what I mean? It's people now, they cannot focus about one issue. The people, with the social media, couldn't be that effect now. But for me, I know will be in the future. This is as a historically work, as I know most of the organization, human rights organization, and a lot of governors, they know they have this, what I done. And now I know maybe they are sometimes be careful with who they try to deal in Iraq. And they name in the blacklist, they couldn't go out Iraq, that's one. And also, I don't think this military, they will have good opportunity to have a training again from Italian governor and United States. And because before what I record in 1 month, they had, there's a lot of videos published in the social media and YouTube by Italian military. They training, especially these forces, before 1 month. And I don't think so. They know them by name, they know them by things, but this is for the future, not for now. The impact, I think, could take another 5, 6, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, I don't know. But my message also was to show one important thing, because we know what ISIS, they did. They published in that time when they kill people, when they hosting people, when they do a lot of, they raping people, they selling women, you know, this all criminal work, they publish it in the YouTube and in the social media directly. But Iraqi forces under the victory name, they made horrible things for these regions, especially Sunni regions, for revenge, for special need, for sadistic. Sometimes these people, they don't have heart. They're coming really from bad situation in the streets. These soldiers not educated very well. And most of the soldiers, they have kind of a link with the another countries, you know, that this is very
very fascinating. Thank you, Ali Irkadi. Please stay a little bit more because probably I think maybe we'll be able to take a couple of questions, and that's why I would like also Efsaneh and Daniela to stay. And we have our last speaker, and that's Nilofer. Nilofer, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes. Oh yes. So yes.
Okay, Nilofer. You know, your story, I mean, is fascinating because you're sitting in a region. We all have seen lockdowns and we have seen what that does, but you are living in the longest lockdown in the world. It's been, you know, what, 8-9 months now for the lockdown, and we have 4G internet. despite the lockdowns, but you have only 2G internet because you're not allowed to have fast speed internet. So, and you're a journalist. So as a journalist, how are you working, Nilofer? Can you tell us about how a journalist, a young journalist like you, can operate and work under the world's longest lockdown in Kashmir, the lockdown which is by the military and the lockdown because of the pandemic? So 2 lockdowns and the longest in the world, almost 9 months now. The floor is yours.
Hello everyone. I'm from India, Kuwait, Kashmir, and so far as the Kashmiri situations are concerned, we can see the Kashmir is continuously going under lockdown from last, I think, 1 year. Is going to complete now in August to 5th August. The people in the Kashmir Valley are facing a lot of problems during these days. As we can see, they are not taking their livelihood properly, and we can see there's the situation in the Kashmir Valley is so critical. And from last 1 year, it has been continuously their lockdown is there in the Kashmir Valley. So far as COVID-19 is concerned, so this is not that the Kashmiri people are suffering from this lockdown only from last 1 month. It's they can one can see that there is the people who are living in Kashmir are not taking their livelihood properly. As I, a journalist, I went to those areas, those far-flung areas where another media persons couldn't meet, and take the live telecast from there, and the people there are suffering a lot. So we can see the situation in the Kashmir Valley from last 1 year. It's not I think it's impossible for, we cannot compare this state to other states, or we can say that it's a union territory to other union territories. So I think as I am a media personnel, I went those places where other media person couldn't went. And this situation was critical for me. I had it's my personal experience. I went with my colleagues somewhere. Police had police told me that police person told me that stop car, and when I stopped my car, he told me that come out from the car. When I come out from the car, he started to hit me by with a rod. So these are the situations. You can imagine how much people are suffering. As I'm telling myself that the condition is worse in the Kashmir. So we are not properly getting their livelihood. As I had seen somewhere that death has been there was the death which was happened by hunger due to non-availability of the food. So there is a worse condition in this Kashmir Valley. We can see.
Yes, Nilofer, I have a question for you right now. You're a journalist, so are you able to work? I mean, you mentioned right now checkpoints and soldiers asking you to come out of the car. Do you go out frequently? I mean, as a journalist, are you actually going and covering stories? Are you interviewing people? Do you get out of your house and office or not? Can you give us an idea?
If we as we can see that there is a Afsapa is still enacted here. So we have, if we couldn't come from their houses, or whether it may be a car, if we could not come from outside, then they can do anything with the people, because there is still the Afsapa is enacted here. So Afsapa is that which gives them the power, so that they can do anything with people.
Nilofer, another thing is the internet. I mean, we've been in lockdowns in Islamabad, in Pakistan, in Kuwait City, in Azerbaijan, in Geneva, and but at least people had high-speed internet to use when they were inside. Can you tell us? Can you just give us an idea about what life is like when you're inside and you only have very slow internet or 2G internet? and that's all. What life is like, and what can you do, and what you cannot?
We are suffering from this from last 1 year, and we have the government has lastly said that we will restart. We will we will restart the 4G here. We will give the fast internet here. But still, there is the petition is going. Court is still going on, and the petition is going on, and we can see the students are being suffered, and we as a media personnel, I had suffered a lot during this last 1 year thing. So now, because we had not we give up live like clearly, because there are restrictions on the fast networking system. So I think the people in the Kashmir Valley are suffering a lot because there is no such things which if they want to see such things, see such information wants to gain from the network, from this social networking system, but they couldn't do this because there is a high the situation of mobile internet is very critical, and we couldn't see the situations. And when we see the situations that the students are taking a lot of problems, I think not media personnel but students are suffering a lot during these days in the Kashmir Valley. So here the teachers are giving them the online lectures. How is it possible that we can get the lectures clearly? Even this the speed is only 2G speed is in Kashmir Valley.
Right. No, this is really a very disturbing situation. And just before I go, and my very last question, Niloufar, is you've been listening to what Afsaneh, and also I don't know if you heard Daniela when she described the situation in the Palestinian occupied territories. I don't know if you heard also what Ali Irkadi was saying. With regards to the situation in Iraq. When you listen to all of that and you compare all of that to your situation in Kashmir, what do you say to yourself? Just very quick words.
I think the situation in Kashmir is so worse because from last 2016, we are suffering a lot after there was the encounter at you can say the militant was encountered there. After from the last 2016, we are suffering continuously from this. I can compare this with Israel or all that, but we cannot say that the situation in the Kashmir is better than other place than what is going in other countries. But I think the Kashmiri the condition in the Kashmir is so worse. The valley is become barren now, because almost people think that the Kashmir is the paradise on other. No, it is not so. It's now become a barren, because there are certain innocent killings are happening in the Kashmir Valley. So we cannot tell that the Kashmir Valley, the situation of the Kashmir Valley is it is going. I think it is going worse day by day, and it's not going.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you, Niloufar. And we are 13 minutes beyond our allotted time. We were supposed to close this webinar 13 minutes ago. So I think I will close now. We should not take questions, but I will give 1 minute to each speaker to conclude. And I would ask you to use that 1 minute to say something about where you see things going in your area of interest, where you are, how things can be sort of improved in terms of media coverage, in terms of human rights work, considering the tensions, considering the health lockdowns, what can be done. And I would give 1 minute to each speaker. And I would start with you, Daniela, and then I will go to Sumera, and then to Afsaneh, and then we will conclude with Ali. So 1 minute each. Daniela?
Okay, thank you, Ahmed. So first of all, this has been an excellent webinar. So all the presentations were excellent, and I'm deeply touched by all your stories and all my solidarity. What I hear is that, we have so much in common. And when I just look at the Palestinian conflict, it's not only the COVID-19. If the COVID-19 lockdown alone is bad enough, but if this is combined with occupation, if the lockdown is not only lockdown, but there is also the Israeli, from the Israeli side, the blockade and all the checkpoints, that makes it twice as bad, especially for the people. And the people are those who pay the price. So now you ask me to give an answer to all your questions, how to solve it in 1 minute, and I wish I had it. But that's hard. If I had an answer in 1 minute, I would give it. For me, first, and I would change the situation immediately. But first of all, the people at the moment have nothing to eat. The people are priority. But at the same time, the international pressure is a must if we want to avoid an escalation. And that's very, very important.
I know, and it's so difficult. For you to have 1 minute, Daniela, to offer ideas, to improve the coverage of the really very disturbing situation in the Palestinian occupied territories. I know it's a very tough thing, but your insights were amazing, and I hope a lot of people probably will take interest in this, thanks to how you described them. Sumaira, very quickly, you have 1 minute. What can be done better in terms of you as a journalist and us as journalists? What can we do better, for example, in a country like Pakistan, which is such a huge population and so many problems with lockdowns and so forth, and the inability and the disinformation which you refer to? What can one journalist like you do really to improve the situation?
I think I have a brighter side to discuss as well. Within a minute, I must appreciate Pakistan's Ministry of Science and Technology as well. They started working back in February when we were short of sanitizers, masks, and every little thing that should have been available in the market, keeping the pandemic situation arising in the region and in Pakistan specifically, where the 70% of the population hails from the rural areas. So we controlled that. Now we are self-reliant in making our own ventilators, oxygenators. The country who was not even able to cope up with the shortage of sanitizers and masks and gloves. Now we are making our own ventilators, and we are not importing any of this. And we have enough of ventilators, oxygenators. In fact, we are talking about exporting these or helping out other countries in need of that. Specifically, I would mention Afghanistan, because the minister yesterday spoke about that. That if any country is in need of ventilators, we are ready to give that to all the countries in need. So there is always a light at the end of the tunnel, and I must say, Pakistan, I would appreciate Pakistan's efforts in the times of pandemic. But what we must do, as a journalist, I felt, I think I was desperate in need of saying that Ahmed, we need to have a regulatory body, we need to have a regulatory authority in curbing fake news on social media, because so many conspiracy theories were in circulation on social media regarding pandemic, that it's a fake thing, it's not a fake thing. Somebody would come up with another theory saying coronavirus is an attempt on Pakistan's or on Islam's fundamental ideology. So keeping in view those things, I think we must first of all curb on this fake news thing, and then there should be something. I think elevating the poor section, elevating the poverty. I think that should be the effort of incumbent government right now. That crises come and go, and the only thing that stays in it's the way how you handle bigger crises, and obviously the crisis those who come like every year. So I think we should be keeping in view how to further strengthen our infrastructure in Pakistan.
Yes, and
Now
it's really great. And it's really great to hear a journalist who's, number one, spreading positivity, number two, praising the government, and number three, asking for regulation against disinformation. I mean, there's hope in this world. And these are really excellent points, Samira, and I really thank you for being with us. And we have last 2 minutes with Efsane and then Ali. Efsane.
Thank you very much, Mr. Quraish. I would like to speak about another 2 points about my topic. My colleagues talked about human rights violation, especially Mrs. Daniela Donges, Ali Arkaze, and other colleagues. I think that human rights violations are very important, and this topic is very important not only for all countries and also for Azerbaijan too. My colleagues, Azerbaijan media, always raises this topic, especially 1 million IDPs rights. And I also cover this issue, and I cover about the different aspects of this Armenian-Azerbaijan Nagorno-Karabakh conflict from different aspects, and also touch these people who lost their properties and native lands rights. I can say about recent clash that international media also covered recent clash between Armenian and Azerbaijan border towards the streets. They introduced all information, all objective information to international community. I think that the journalists should continue their activities who write about different conflicts, especially in Middle East and also in the Caucasus region. I know other colleagues who ask me a lot of questions about the conflicts. I try to ask them, to answer them all of their, sorry.
Right. Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you, Efsane. Thank you, Efsane, for being with us and shedding light on the Caucasus. I mean, an area that usually doesn't get much international coverage, but I'm really very glad that you joined us. And our last 1 minute is to Ali Arkadi. Ali, you have 1 minute if you'd like to say anything in the end before I close.
Do you have any question?
Oh, I don't have any question, but you listened to Samira, for example, from Islamabad. She was very positive, and Efsane is really saying that maybe the journalist should be doing more, and she will be doing more to cover this Azerbaijan-Armenia conflict. And since there's so much coverage of the Middle East, maybe the Caucasus now will also get some coverage. And I think that was the message of Daniela as well. I mean, she's basically saying, there's not much you can offer in 1 minute, but at least she's saying that there should be more coverage and more exposure of the situation. Maybe that would impact. You are out of your country and you're living somewhere else in exile, and there's you should be the most pessimistic among all of us, frankly, because we are all sitting in our own locations and we've been working on the ground. But I don't know for how many years now, you cannot go back to your country. So I don't know. I said so much on your behalf. Let's hear you.
I'm looking for everything in a positive way, even in the life, even with a friend, even with the things, even with that work when I does, I thinking in the positive way, because I know, like example, what I does is not about against anyone or against the soldiers. So no, just to change the brain. It was even when I work as a journalist, it wasn't most of the time as a journalist. I think sometimes I'm thinking to show the problem and find the solution and continue. That is crazy thing. And sometimes I feel I shocked one time when I faced a lot of media when I start to publish my work, because we can say half or more of half of them, they have a lot of agenda. They following them agenda. They have forces in Iraq. They supported the soldiers. They not publish, a very famous place. And this has shocked me. And because I feel, wow, I'm looking very romantic way of my work to documenting things in the romantic way. Okay, go find the problem, find solution, continue, find solution, continue. But it was shocking for 1 year, and after that I come back and say, okay, this is what I'm proud about. This is what I like to do. And until now I start to continue because it's important. And last the thing about lockdown, no, I start to continue work in the lockdown very well. But the important things I did, I contact my friend around the world, between journalists, artists, normal people, and I just told them, send me one videos about one person. What coronavirus, how affecting you this situation, this pandemic, in one person. And after that, shoot for me videos for your daily life, 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. And I collect a lot of footage around the world since 2 months when we was in the home. And I called Long List Time 2020. Long List Time 2020, it was a positive word for me because, yeah, we are in the long list time, which is fine. We need to be there to have something else in the future, to thinking more about that. And yeah, in a positive way, this is the solution for everything. For you survivor, you try to explain your idea for future, anything you have in a positive way. This is important. And you need to also to be optimistic about everything and what you have. Thank you. I know.
Let's close on that note, Ali. Thank you very much, and thank you to all of you. I'd like to thank Niloufar, who has the weakest internet signal among all of us in Kashmir, but she joined us. So Niloufar, thank you very much to you, and Daniela for amazing insight into what the situation is like right now in Bethlehem and around that area, and Efsane El-Asgharli for the update from Azerbaijan. Thank you. And Ali Arkadi and Shahid Al-Matrouk, Kuwait and Iraq. Thank you to both of you. And the video, we will share the video for the talk that each of you gave will be as one unit and separately uploaded to the social media within the next 24 hours. And we will share the links with you, and as well as the media coverage. I would like to thank many people who have joined us in our live stream on Facebook. I'm very sorry, I have about 24 questions right now, but we are 30 minutes above and beyond our time of 60 minutes. And if we go and take the questions, we'll have to sit here for another 1 hour. But we will have another sitting. Ali, I'm so great. Take care of yourself. We will have another sitting, and the same for Efsane and Niloufar and Daniela and Shahid. Thank you, all of you. See you next time.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.